космическая команда проведет вас по вселенным
So today, our space team will guide us through the universes of technological capabilities, will help to pilot the different projects and also to match and to connect to mentor hours. We will be the observers of the Big Bangs, and also will have a startup bazaar, and within which we can attract the attention of space media objects and enforce our networking database. And now let's get back to our business program and let's talk about urban tech. What are the problems of contemporary cities and citizens can be addressed with the help of urban tech projects? Can the experience that has been accumulated in large cities could also be applied to small cities? And today we have the moderator of our session, Arkady Sandler from the Digital Economy. Please, the floor is yours, Arkady.
Добрый день, дорогие друзья.
Good afternoon, dear friends. We start
Сессию по
our session,
посвященную
and within which we will be talking about urban spaces. Today we have a very interesting panel, interesting speakers. So today we have Dmitry Politov, the managing director of Web Ventures, joining then Alexey Parabuchev, the general director of the Moscow Agency of Innovations, and we have Petr Yas, the senior president of BlaBlaCar.
тема
Today,
Urban Space.
the topic that we're discussing, the urban space, it's been growing in many places. And, well, we see the appearance of numerous projects. Each of these projects somehow can independently help to develop
Собственно, городских пространств.
the urban spaces,
Росту
and it also helps to make our life more comfortable. I mean, the life of the citizens that live in those urban spaces. And there is a question that
до конца отвеченным. Это
hasn't been addressed yet fully, which is how to make
собственно горожане участвовали и
our citizens to participate and make use of the services that we provide them with.
наверное,
And I believe that today all of our speakers will have to answer the following question. In addition to what you actually create, maybe some projects, or you also participate in some projects when it comes to the improvement of urban spaces,
делается для того,
what else is being done for the citizens to first be aware of all this? And
к
of course, we will also ask Petr about that. How do you
муниципалитетам.
partner with the municipalities and city authorities,
Ну, мы поговорим об этом.
if there is any interaction? And we'll talk about it later after Petr will present first. And, well, we'll also pose the same question to other speakers. When you create the space for innovations, how do you create the environment? How do you promote the capacities, the possibilities of these interesting solutions? So let's start with such a short
Информационной части, посвященной как раз,
short information part, and we will talk about the interaction with our end customers.
которые сейчас
So let's talk about the environment that is being created, and we see the growth of all that. Perhaps this is not such a large growth as we expected it to be
год-два, но
over the past few years, but still we see that the space, the urban space is growing. There is no breakthrough, but still the speed is quite a fast one.
разговор
And here I actually mean the talking interfaces. They are becoming more and more popular right now. Could you please share the presentation?
Да, спасибо.
Thanks a lot.
Совсем недавно
So just recently,
небольшое исследование
we've done a research
тому, каким образом
on
создаются и
how
развиваются виртуальные
the virtual assistants are created and used.
какие у них
What are the most popular skills that they have and how people make use of all that. And this research or this survey was focused not at the users of these virtual assistants, but it was focused at the professionals or on the professionals in this field, on those people who actually create these virtual assistants. And that's why I believe this research to be very interesting. We've got the responses from dozens of people in Russia, and we have actually teams in Russia that have virtual assistants as products, and also there are developers, the linguists, and developers in different languages that work on this topic as well, of course. So what do we see in here? Well, this is a very short summary, actually. The results of the research are about to be published just in a short time. And here you can see a very short summing or summary of this. And it says that, well, the virtual assistants, especially for factory of some utilities at home as well as mobile applications, are quite integrated with the daily routine of a user. It's quite logical. And I believe that all the speakers, for example, that we currently have, they can manage our smart home. And it would be quite logical to connect this channel of interaction and of communication with many other services. For example, if we talk about moving from some small things to large things, well, we could have a connected building, a connected flat, an apartment. We can also connect some services of some companies to the whole building, as I've said. We can also have like some neighborhood, a connected neighborhood, connected city, etc. And as far as I understand, some services like that are currently being developed, some virtual assistants for general public. But I see that there are a lot of such services that are using voice interfaces, but still, this is not a large trend, even though it would seem that the voice interfaces is the most understandable, user-friendly, and useful tool of how to integrate the services into our life. And when it comes to the management of our environment, I mean space, urban space, quite often if you check your voice interfaces or just some conversational interfaces, this is the most simple channel. It is much more difficult to make a user install numerous applications rather than just offer something in a messenger or in an application, offer to use this virtual assistant. And so we could establish some integrated solutions, how to use some municipal services. And so here, when we talk about it, of course, one needs to understand those who develop all these projects. They need to understand how to make your service content-wise ready for being connected to such channels, how to make your service be ready to be integrated in your voice environment or in just general voice environment. When somebody creates or develops an application or some service, it's very important to understand that it's not only about the visual interface anymore, but it's also about voice interface right now. And there are some tools and methods how to integrate the voice interface properly from the very beginning. And I believe that I'll finish on that. So I've just mentioned the promoting of these opportunities that are coming to us thanks to some voice interfaces. And now let's proceed to the presentation by Peter from BlaBlaCar company. So Peter, the floor is yours. Please, could you tell us how do you connect some small municipal elements with some large transport systems in your country? The floor is yours, please.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Pleasure to be hosted in your panel. So I think that you raised a couple of really relevant questions about how to make the technology, the urban technology, to be used. Maybe to start with the last element that you asked, like how we at BlaBlaCar think of connecting the less populated municipalities with bigger cities. That's actually all what we do. So BlaBlaCar is connecting a lot of small towns where there is no train or no bus to a multi-million member transport network, thanks to the technology that we built, and that allows to make those populated cities accessible. What's key in what we do is actually multimodality, so connecting different means of transportation within one solution. And I believe that's key also to make that's the answer to the question that you had, how to make the urban tech used. I think that you need to create solutions where people can use one solution to access multiple means of transportation. Also, the ones that they use so far, like metro, buses, also the new ones like scooters, bikes, car sharing. So I think that's key. And speaking about the intercity transportation, and that's what we've proven over the years. I think that in the future, the future of cars will be shared cars, connected, electric, autonomous. And we will see emergence of autonomous cars for intra-urban trips going forward. And we already see it, as I said, the car sharing is already a first step towards that. Inside cities, fleets of autonomous vehicles will become more and more popular. Outside of the cities, though, you'd still have cars as the main mean of transportation, private-owned cars. And because the norm of the usage is completely different. And that's why shared transportation will continue to be used at scale for this kind of trips. I think what's key also on our side is to help different players on this market, which are very much willing to transform the way how people travel, to implement the new technology, and again to use our platform as a multimodal platform. And I think again it's a key for urban tech as well.
Yes, indeed. Thanks a lot, Piotr. And could you please tell us a bit more? Well, we do understand that your company is quite a large one and it's very prominent and famous. Well, could you please tell us if you have anything of that cooperation? Do you have any cooperation with municipalities, and what is the format of that? That was my first question. And my second question is, in addition to just quite understandable ways to promote your service, some commercial tools that are proceeding from the advertisement and PR. In addition to all that, do you have any other unusual ways? How do you promote your services among the population? The population that you would like to be servicing, that you'd like to connect to your infrastructure. And, well, perhaps maybe you also are doing something with the voice interface channels as well. If you do, please mention that in your answer. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for guiding me to the answers. In terms of cooperation with municipalities, I think that's a very, very good point. Very good question. In France, we actually have a commuting carpool service, intercity or more like suburbs to city center. And actually, the service is considered as a shared transportation mode and is very complementary to urban means of transport like subways or city buses. And the government, both regional and federal, sees the benefits of subsidizing this kind of practice, which is positive for the environment, for the public health, and for the economy. So I think it's key to build a good partnership between service providers and municipalities in that regard. This also helps in promotion. So that's an answer to your second question. in promotion of the service. Whilst such a service is being integrated into integrated transportation offer or transportation apps of the city, it becomes easier for citizens to actually use it. And I think that's one of the keys to make it successful. As I mentioned, multimodality is key, so people can combine their trips within one solution and access the solutions within one app. And obviously, digital services help in solving that type of problems. So that's the answer to cooperation with municipalities. I think that Moscow, for instance, has a quite good approach to that aspect. They really cooperate with a lot of partners in commercial space. Have also developed their own solutions. So I think that goes in that direction as well. When it comes to other ways of promoting the service, so obviously, like, there are traditional ways of communicating with your potential and existing audience about the product. But I think that what's key and what we've learned over the years is that your product should advertise itself. So when you have a well-built product, again, being very usable for the audience that you're trying to target, I think that you don't need to promote it that much, because people will actually speak about that and promote it within their own communities, and it just advertises on its own. So I think that's key to build a product that speaks for itself and is usable and is providing value for the consumers. And that's key. So maybe it's an obvious thing, but I believe that a lot of providers of services actually forget about that. And then they need to really invest in a lot of marketing to push their product in front of the faces of their potential users. Was actually there is other strategy. You just invest in a great product that provides value. That also does not mean that the consumer needs to switch between tons of products. So multimodality again, and then you're there. Then your product again advertises for itself.
Здорово, спасибо.
That's very cool. Thanks a lot. And the last question for now from me is, in addition to France, for example, do you also work with multi-modular transportation systems? And do you also implement the strategy of connecting some small municipalities with huge transport hubs? And if not, maybe you know somebody else who does quite the same in different countries, use the same approach.
Thanks for the question again. Maybe I tried to answer this earlier in the chat, so I'll come back to that and share a few words. But that's all what we do actually at BlaBlaCar. So we connect smaller municipalities with bigger hubs, and all what we do is multimodality. So actually we connect people traveling in their private cars with other people who head in the same direction, which helps to obviously reduce the number of cars on the road, reduce the congestion, reduce the environmental impact. But we also, and this allows people from really small towns to get to bigger cities.
А в каких-то еще других странах, кроме Франции, именно такой фокус?
And do you focus on that in any other countries in addition to France?
Так. У нас немножечко...
Perhaps we have some technical issues in Zoom. Can you hear us?
Наверное, мы тогда пойдем
Okay.
дальше. Сейчас я хотел...
Unfortunately, we have some technical problems. We'll probably move on. And now I'd like to pass this virtual mic to Dmitry. Dmitry, could you tell us what Web Ventures does in the field of urban space, and how do you create conditions
этих прекрасных сервисов, которые с вашей помощью
for the users of your services to multiply the users? Well, I believe that to make the penetration, you have to, of course, do something for that and not just be hoping and trusting the developers. Okay, Well, I hope that we will see these trends emerging not from the top, but also from the different angles. Well, first and foremost, indeed, I'm a representative of Web Ventures company. So this is the subunit of WebRF company, the public company. And over the last 3 years of its work, we've been targeting the development of cities and urban spaces as the part of that solution. And the reason for that is quite a simple one. Well, we are a public corporation, and the question is, why do we focus on that? Why do we narrow our focus on cities? Well, actually, almost 70% of the Russian economy accounts for urban cities and urban spaces, and 1/4 of our population also lives in cities. And we believe that the most prominent way on how to increase the quality of life and stimulate our economic growth, we need to develop our cities. And in this respect, we perceive a city as a wholesome structure, as a natural, organic units and systems of the economy. Here, I mean such sectors as logistics, the utilities, and many, many other sectors that are combined in each of the cities, and each and every city is a kind of a portrait of an ideal, could be a portrait of an ideal environment where all these pieces get combined. And we, of course, as a venture fund, we track the initiatives and projects in this respect, and we see how can we add some solutions to our cities. We do have some projects that we invested in. These projects are targeting different tasks. We have an Alpha Open company. This is about the integration of the control systems in engineering units, the buildings, for example, in Moscow. We have a couple of such systems operating in buildings in Moscow and also on some production sites. And this project helps us to have more friendly, user-friendly experience. And for example, it is about predictive analytics, etc. We also have a company O3, and this company is not so digital as the others. It's more about life. So they are producing different kind of coverages, such as the fire-resistant, waterproof, and many, many other covers. We also take a look at other projects that could actually reach our citizens and that could improve the life of our citizens quite significantly, and perhaps also to create some opportunities for the economic growth, as well as to boost our economy. And when we talk about what we do to help all these projects, well, any venture fund, when it comes to a company, of course, it's interested in making the company better than it used to be before. And we are not an exception here. I don't think that there are many funds who are exceptions here. Of course, we would like to enrich our companies with different connections and capacities and opportunities. And when it comes to the digital economy, I believe that it's especially relevant. Despite the fact that WebRF targets numerous large cities, still some of these cities are not so accepting of the new developments. Well, it could be connected to the level of their development, and it also can be connected to the limitations in their capabilities, as well as limitations when it comes to its mentality or attitudes. Well, and when we work with authorities in these cities, we really try to help them to visualize the city of a future, and we would like to visualize the creation of new environments. And this is not only about those projects that we cultivate. These projects can come from different sources, and our task is to create such a platform on which the Russian economy could be moving ahead. Yes, okay, thanks a lot for your answer. Perhaps you are when you cultivate the projects and services, perhaps you are aiming at some municipalities, and so you try to cultivate them. And when you see that there is something new in the field of urban spaces, you would like to also make the municipalities to accept them, and then it will also result in the acceptance by the people. Yes, indeed, while it's a two-way street, as they say, of course we work with projects themselves. We would like to improve the culture from the inside, but on the other side, we also work with municipalities, indeed. And when there is such a service appearing, well, the service as we see it, usually it results in some fast changes in the quality of life. And actually today we see that there are some digital services and they are quite synonymous of the comfort. And it's quite evident that when we come to some point, then we start with the position.
So we should manage this innovation because if citizens come up with this, this will be like the next movement. But here we have the national solution, which we have to scale up and provide integration. I think it's quite a problem, but it's in short, in brief, about these services, especially at the level of the country. Country-wise, that's why we have some prerequisites, and we can build up services. I can say this is the Russian approach, coming from the top and make everybody well, as people from the top think it's well. I don't know either it's good or bad, but I can't see any critical thing here, in particular if in different cities for the same thing you will use different solutions. For example, if citizens of the cities will choose. We don't always do it. But how do we do this? We'll ask Alexei about it. Alexei, so of course we wish Russia could have many cities like Moscow, but Moscow is one like this. What is happening in your agency? So starting from, if we speak about standards, it's a very interesting topic. And speaking about the types of solutions which are implemented in Moscow and in other cities, so whether these solutions should be unified or not, even at the level of Moscow city, we can see that to some degree we have numerous solutions, and even if you want to unify everything, to standardize everything, it's not always needed. And it's not sometimes possible. That's why it's essential to use creative juices of citizens, and not only citizens. We have such format within which we offer the teams from the market to be involved in some initiatives, and we work not only in Moscow, but with other cities. For some specific task, we develop specific solutions. These solutions should meet criteria, and they have to be technologically integrated and have such an ability to be integrated in the city infrastructure. We have been doing this format for 3 years, and we have interesting outcome. Besides developer teams, these are not startups, but sometimes there are companies with ready program products, but usually these are just creative groups which have readiness and desire to offer products. We conduct this in the format of prize winning for these groups, and we take it on ourselves to test it and to promote this into urban infrastructure. There are quite a lot of such solutions, about 30 in different spheres and industries of urban infrastructure. And very often they are not less efficient than such systematic solutions which were developed. Of course, there is always an issue of integration, but on the whole, we can see that this is a good tool for us to merge this unified solution with creativity juices and variety, which would be brought by creative groups.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much. And where do you advertise all this? What do we need to be there? Annually, we have the hackathon leaders of digital transformation. Hackathon Moscow starts at the beginning of summer. We have the collection of application, and the final happens in October, November, after open innovations. And we advertised in all channels, and the IT community in this or that way is actively involved in this format. And of course, we also invite all interested parties for participation. We also had international hackathons with involvement of teams from other cities, from Israel and adjoining countries. It was very interesting. And the IT community also is very close to us. Yes, teams always spoke Russian, all people in teams. One Israeli entrepreneur and the team of Russian technical IT specialists. This is a startup. When do you plan to have your hackathon? When you are planning these hackathons? How do you do this? Do you have this as a task for hackathon linked with comfort of urban city? If you have ideas, please come. So those who participate, are they satisfied with this? Our main task as urban agency to work at solutions of those tasks which the city has. And the first step is identification of these groups. This is the key thing for us because we are a dealer coordinating structure which gathers different departments, Department of Education, Transport, Culture, and we work with libraries, schools, hospitals, and we try to understand what tasks can be presented at hackathons. It's not commonplace. Okay, to form the tasks for hackathons, it's a separate work. And these tasks have separate requirements, some certain requirements. It's clear that you need to work at them. You identify the tasks, you make the tasks, and then why do we have so few hackathons? Maybe we should have them more. You have tasks, a lot of tasks, I think. Yes. A few or not few, it's quite a relative issue. A few hackathons in comparison with what? But once per year, it's not a lot of times. But once per year, 10 tracks. It's 10 independent hackathons within the framework of one big program. And besides this, we have the same with corporations. We attract as partners. So tasks there are different. City hackathon, this is hackathon for development of technologies, which we then will integrate. It has a product focus, it's clear cut, and our KPI is to integrate all the ideas and developments in the city infrastructure. We also cooperate with corporations sometimes. The task here is different. For corporation and for the city, it's important to renew and update IT, IT infrastructure. And here we should see what teams are able to give interesting ideas and to turn them in prototypes of products. About 15 hackathons of this or that type are conducted in Moscow by us, and let alone other structures. The Department of Culture, Cultural Heritage, the Committee on Tourism. So I'm thinking that about 30 hackathons, 40 hackathons are being conducted. In this case, yes, it's not quite few. Maybe maybe I was wrong in assessing this. Maybe we don't have enough information to understand of hackathons, of a number of hackathons. Now we have the connection with Peter. And I will like to ask you the question. When you start to work with municipalities, so when you want to go to the appropriate municipality, or when you have there some a lot of customers there in municipalities, and only after that you go to municipalities and offer some joint activities.
Well, I think we are always open to work with municipalities. Obviously, you need to reach certain size to be able to bring value, but also our experience is I think valuable in certain cases, so we can serve with our advice. I think we had some chats with Moscow region authorities already sharing part of our experience, and we're willing to do so in the future. Seeing also how progressive is the administration there. So overall, I think both approaches work. As I mentioned in Paris, we had a significant scale and develop a service that brings value, and then we engage in discussions with the authorities. But we are open for both approaches.
Понятно. Спасибо.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I would like to say to our viewers that you can also ask your questions on the site where we have broadcast, and I can see these questions immediately. So, for example, now I have already a list of questions. Dmitry, to you the question first. How do you assess readiness of services to use some information boards? I think that I can't answer this question in details, but it is evident that on the whole now, and this is a huge trend at all levels and stages, I think that colleagues will agree. So it's a new way to interpret information about objects and sites. So you don't not only know about the size of the building, where the hot water is running in this building or in the hotel on the 14th floor. Also, it's a way to exclude structured knowledge how the city lives and how architectural object inside of the city lives and what people use and how they use and how can we improve the situation. So as we look at this, we think that it's not only just 1 minute solution, but also it is some feeling of the future, which can also meet such some future requests. If we come back to this, do we consider the wishes of citizens? All solutions are made by citizens. We have a democratic state, and that is why from the center some ideas can come, but they So in Moscow, we saw this. Please do this like in our city, the same as in Moscow, and it's better to have Moscow budget also for this. Of course, but the budget is not Moscow. Yes, this is where I try to joke about it. Okay, this is mostly the question about your assessment of readiness of city services to use this. I think that people who are really qualified in it should assess it. So what we face is so this infrastructure which we have, not always we can realize it. This engineering centers of interaction with this. This is the horizon where we work, and if we can see but this is the issue of communication channels and privacy protection. Is this the whole story linked with data and collection of data, distillation of data, and so on? So sometimes it's not even about processing of data. Alexei, do you have your opinion about it? I think I don't know why this question was why Dmitry had to answer this question. I think that mostly this question to you. Yes, undoubtedly, there are two main things. First, the issue of digital readiness of the industry. It doesn't matter, BMA or other technologies, but at the first stage, it's the issue of whether the industry is digitalized. So we work with construction industries and with construction developers, and this is a very conservative, and in Moscow and in Russia, it's a very conservative industry from the point of view of implementation of digitalization. No digital solutions, no data. You can't use beams, other technologies, and this is a huge problem because also we can see that usage of this solution allow us to economize resources. And now we launched several pilot projects on construction site, and automatically this should match the volume of fulfilled works which are in the project and the actual volume of work. And then to have forecast models, whether we drag behind schedule, and what about the work. But these are only pilots. You mean the hackathon product? No, hackathon is one of the directions which we do. This is the project which is being realized within the framework of pilot tests. We have about 120 pilot sites where startups can come and test their solutions just right in the city. We are pressed for time now. I would like to ask another question. So this is a clarifying question. It seems to me we already spoke about it. At what stage startup can participate in your hackathons? Once again, these are teams which have their product and they want to customize it for our task, or teams which don't have any products, so they are just interested to try themselves. So at any stage, you mean? Yes, at any stage. Besides hackathons, you have also the other pilot sites. Yes, besides hackathons, we have 3 other activities. The program of pilot testing in Moscow, sites, hospitals, schools, transport system, anything, and also commercial sites or sectors. startup comes and brings its technological solution, we help it to collect the site, and we are mediators in this cooperation. And Moscow Accelerator program, within which we have 8 tracks, 212 companies went through this program. The main thing here is that the program is being realized together with large corporations. As any accelerator, we help to scale up the business metrics.
Чтобы у вас не было,
So you have a lot of activities.
какой бы у вас не было,
So you have any product, and if so, I now apply to our viewers. So if you have any product, if it's applicable to urban infrastructure, urban environment, we can always can find a way to test it in Moscow. Okay, this sounds quite well. Very well. And then maybe we can, if it's okay, maybe we can scale it up and go outside of Moscow. I think this is extremely optimistic for us, and we have to finalize our discussion. I even did not expect that everything would be so bright and nice. I would like to thank our today's participants. Piotr, thank you very much for your exciting story and participation.
во всяком случае, для меня, я
For
уверен,
me, so I'm sure also for other viewers, this is a new understanding on transport multimodality, and I think it's well worth of thinking about this. Thank you for your
Алексей, за
participation, Alexei, for optimism for any startup. There is a chance. Now I think you will have a lot of startups. So now you will have. We are very open for everybody, and we want to expand also scale up successful solutions, which we pilot first. That's great, and maybe some other
новых
new startups will take advantage of your openness and transparency. Dmitry, it was so pleasant to see you. Thank you for your story and for your participation.
венчурный фонд,
This is a venture fund from the top position,
способен дать
and
максимальный
it can give us the maximum potential for scaling up. I remember this, that it's very difficult to push from the push your way from the bottom. Thank you, our viewers, for your time.
Всем успешного продолжения.
I wish you a very successful startup village. Thank you.
This is the champion section, and anything less than that get a hasty rejection.
При низких температурах окружающей среды тела быстро теряют энергию. Но нахождение вблизи источника тепла позволяет телу получать тепловое излучение. Происходит самопроизвольное перераспределение тепла. Следовательно, когда источники тепла находятся вместе, их энергия побеждает холод. Лучшее создается вместе. Газпромбанк.
МТС Стартап Хаб. Работа с реальным бизнес-заказчиком МТС. Доступ к ресурсам самого крупного телеком-бренда в России. Не можешь поверить? А в твой стартап обязательно поверят. У нас есть все, что тебе понадобится. Ресурсы, клиенты, технологии, каналы продаж. Мы оценим твой продукт, правильно применим в своем бизнесе и масштабируем на мировой рынок. МТС Стартап Хаб ждет тебя и твоих нереальных бизнес-идей.